All right, let's move on. Moving over to the lesson, what we got here. So we've worked on solving systems of equations with two variables, which two variables, not that bad. If you have X or Y, just eliminate one of them. But what do you do if there are three variables? So that's what we're going to do today, solve systems of equations with three variables. We're mainly going to be using elimination method, although maybe some of these could use some substitution or something. But I think most of them are just going to be elimination. We're also going to use these systems of equations to solve problems. And now that's probably going to be tomorrow because with all my other classes, I haven't been able to get through all of them. In fact, this one's like, there's not that many problems, but it's going to take a while to get through some of these. So what exactly do we mean by three variables? So we're familiar with the X and Y, right? Like X is side to side and Y is up and down. No, can't hear me, huh? Let me see if I can. Is everyone else okay? Can everyone else hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay. Actually, I think you were telling me in an email earlier today that you were having trouble hearing from your side. I think it's actually because I checked my videos over again, and I think it is. It might be an issue with your side, your computer. Because I reviewed the videos and looked to see if there was anything that could be going wrong, and I didn't find anything. So I think that might be the issue. Oops. If that's the issue, maybe you could probably put in some earphones or something, or get a separate speaker for your computer. I don't think you were in my class, but if you were in my class before, you know, sometimes if I want to play a video, I'll usually hook up an extra speaker to the monitors or the computer. So sorry about that. I wish there was something I could do about that. But I'm just gonna have to keep going. So everyone's familiar with Minecraft. So in Minecraft, there's usually a X and a Y axis, the side and up and down, but there's also the Z axis as well. So that's kind of like what you can think of in this case here. There's a Z axis. So let's go ahead and talk about what you need to know and how to solve systems of equations with three variables. So first thing you got to do is choose two of your equations. So pick any two of them and you have to eliminate one of the variables. So if there's three of them, you have to eliminate either X, Y, or Z. All right, you have to get rid of one of those. And then you have to choose another pair of two equations that are different. So it's got to be a different combination from the one that you used in step one and eliminate the same thing. So either X, Y, or Z, depending on what you did the first time. And we'll call this one equation B. So put your equation A and B together, which they should both be missing the same variable. Solve that system from those two, and that will give you one of your variables. So that'll give you your first one. Then you take that and plug it back into one of the other equations that you had, and that should give you your second one. And take those two and plug it into one of the original equations and get the last variable. So you're gonna have to kind of follow those steps. And I know this is kind of a lot to remember. It'll probably make more sense as always once we start working on them. And write your solutions in the form of X, Y, and Z. Okay, hold on. Let me go ahead and take care of this issue really quick. All right, so we'll just have to keep going. Let's do the first one. So solving the first problem, and depending on how things go, we may not get through all of these, which I haven't for any of my classes all day. So first thing we got to do is decide which one we want to eliminate. So we can eliminate X, we can eliminate Y, or we can eliminate Z. So we got to eliminate one of those things, and we want to, there are many ways you can do this, and you don't have to follow the steps I'm showing you, but you do kind of have to follow the process I'm going to take you through. So first thing again, we got to pick one of these. Now Z is not a very good candidate because I'd have to, move some of these, like for instance, I'd have to times this one by 4 to match that one. And I'd have to, multiply something by 2, which I can't multiply anything by 2 to get 9, so I'd have to change both of them. And same thing with these ones here. So with 8 and 9, I don't have any numbers I can put them so that they would both be that same number. I can't multiply to get that same number. X is okay. You can use X. I don't see anything that would be really difficult for it. But Y in this case seems like a much better option because with Y, I have one that's already a pair of them together like this. So I'm going to go ahead and put these two Y's together, and we'll see what we get. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply this. Well, not multiply it at all. I'm just going to leave it as is. And sometimes you just got to not overthink some things. Can't overthink things too much. So there you go. I got my top one. Now I'm going to go ahead and get my bottom one, which is my middle one from the originals. And I am going to times it by 6. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply this by 6. So 6 times 5, 6 times Y, 6 times 2, all the way down. So that would be 30x plus 6y. And now it looks like my y is set to eliminate, which is good. That's what I want. 12z and equals 10. Oh wait, 10 times 6 would be 60. All right. Now, y should eliminate. One of them should eliminate. 32x plus, and 9 and 12 is going to make 21z equals -8 plus 60, or I can reverse that and say 60 minus 8, and that would give us 52. Now you got to be really, really careful with these because it is very easy to make a mistake, either in calculation or missing a negative. Okay, missing a negative is pretty common with this. Okay, now I'm going to need to change another set of these. So for these ones, I'm going to pick the middle one and the bottom one. And I'm going to draw these lines just so that way I can show where some of them end up at. So it's like keeping things well organized. So if there's a problem, you know where everything is. You can sort of follow back where you were. But I am going to need one of these to become negative, though. And I think I'm going to try to make this bottom one negative. And sometimes, again, if you plan ahead, you can make things a little bit easier on yourself. But sometimes you just got to realize it just gives you a bad hand, and you guys got to be ready to work with whatever you get. -5x minus y minus 2z equals -10. Okay, now again, I'm going to double check these to make sure that I reversed everything. So -5x, -y, -2z equals -10. All right, looks good. Now for this bottom one, I don't have to change anything because y is already negative, and like it's already, positive or opposite, I should have said. But again, I like to just go through these and change as few things as possible, because the more things you change, the higher the chance of something going wrong is going to be. Like in this case here, let's see, it's going to be negative. Okay. All right, everything looks okay. Now I'm going to have to make my equation B. So this is my equation B. That's my equation A. Now, again, I have to eliminate the same variable. So the first one lost the y. So with this group here, I have to also lose the y. Negative 2x minus 10z equals 38. So there you go. And double check the math on that one. I'm pretty sure nothing would have gone wrong with that, but you never know. Okay, now I need to combine my A and B together and eliminate one of the other variables. So we eliminated y, now we have to pick either x or z to eliminate next. Okay, so looking at z, there are no numbers between 210 that they can both meet up at. So if I count by 10 and count by 21, so counting by 21 would be like 21, 42, 63, 84, or something like that. But it would take a long time until I get something that I can multiply by 10. So that's just not going to work out. And here, if I look at x, 1 is already negative, and I only have to multiply one of them. I'd have to multiply this side by 16 in order to get the x to cancel out. So again, you got to have to kind of play on your toes with these. So I'm going to go ahead and take this one here, and I'm going to multiply it by negative 16. So I'm going to put that negative 16 right here, so that way I know that I multiplied it by negative 16. If something doesn't work out, I'm going to have to go through this and work backwards and see if there's any errors. So 2 and 16, it's going to be, actually, wait a minute, I don't need negative. Since I'm trying to eliminate x, it's already negative. So negative times positive is negative. Negative 160 z, and 16 times 38. Now I'm just going to use my basic calculator here. So negative 608. Let's see, I got somebody in the chat. Let them know what's going on. I can't tell what's going on. It might be an error with the Zoom thing, but I don't know. Some people were saying they can't hear the videos either. So I don't know what's going on. 21 minus 160, and that's going to be 139. 139z. And 52 minus 608, which is going to be 556. Divide both sides by 139. And z equals come on, z. There we go. Z equals 4. All right, now we have one of them. We're going to need to go back and find a different one. So we're going to have to pick one of these now, either what we call our equation A or the equation B, plug it in and see what we get for 4. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and use this one just because it's right there. negative 2x minus 10z, which is 4. Okay. Looks okay so far. Negative 2x equals, and let's see, add 40 to both sides. And I think you get 2, so add 40, so 40 is the bigger number, so that's going to be positive 2. And divide both sides by negative 2. So if I divide both sides by negative 2, I end up with 1 or negative 1. Now we got to find the last one. So we found z and we found x. We must get y now. So let's take what we have from both z and y. It should be up by the end of the day, but I'm not sure what it could be really. So I don't know. We'll try tomorrow, and I don't know if there's anybody I could talk to fix that problem. Probably more like a tech department question. Wish I could help, but I'm just here and I can't figure out too much of things to do. But I don't know if the connection is bad because I'm losing people too. So it's probably just a connection problem is my guess. Sorry. Anyway, so I get we have to carry on. So z is 4 and x is negative 1. So let's go ahead and plug these in. Negative 5 plus y plus 8 equals 10. And combine these two. 8 minus 5 is 3, positive 3. And now I just got to ask myself, what number plus 3 gives me 10? And if you're good at addition, you'd know that that was 7. So there we go. We have all 3 of them. All right. Finally, after all these years, we have all 3 of them. So make sure you put them into an ordered triple. So an ordered triple has to be just like the ordered pair where it's in alphabetical order. So x goes first, and then y, and then z. So it's got to be in that order. Ooh, and like I said, these problems do take up quite a bit of time. They're not fast work by any means. And there is a lot of steps. So if you do make an error, you got to be able to go back through and see where the error is, or just start back from the beginning and be very, very careful. Because again, it's like it's kind of like Dark Souls. You make one small mistake and then you have to start the whole thing over again. So you just got to make no mistakes. Okay, next one. So we're going to do the same thing. We have to create an equation A and an equation B, but we have to decide which one is the first one we should get rid of. So Y is a very bad candidate because I have to change both 4 and 7 to make them meet up, and I have to change either 7 and Y or 4 and 7 to make them meet up. So that's a bad one. I want to, again, change as few things as possible. So which one of these do you think are the best ones to change? I mean, sorry, which of them, X or Y, do you think is the easier one to get rid of? Put your answer in the chat. Let's see. And there's no wrong way, because I had some students that were saying, like, I tried following your steps, but it didn't work. But again, you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing, okay? You can find X first, or you can find Z first. And if you were really adamant, you could find Y first, or eliminate Y first. So it's really just a matter of, it's just really a matter of preference, okay? And even with these picking the equations, you know, you can pick bottom and top, middle and bottom, or middle and top. So there's about 3 different combinations you could pick. And again, there's no wrong way. You don't have to follow everything exactly like I'm doing. And I know that's something that a lot of students do, is they try to follow the exact same steps. But in math, you're not training to follow steps. You're training to think for yourself. So since no one said anything, I'm just going to go with Z. I'm going to go with Z. It's kind of an easy one because it's already, I have a pair that's already opposite of each other. Come on. I have a pair that's already opposite of each other. So what I'm going to do is I am going to save those 2 for this side, because I'm going to have to do a little bit more work on those. So I'm going to work on the middle and bottom one together. Now I'm going to have to, it looks like I'm going to have to times this one by 11 and times this bottom one by 3. Because both of these numbers need to match up at 33. So let's go ahead and multiply everything by 11. And since they're already negative, I don't have to multiply either one by -11 or -3. I can just leave everything the same. And again, switching signs is kind of the tricky part, because I think when I'm checking homework, that is one of the main areas that people always seem to forget. If they miss a problem and it's a very simple thing, and they show their work, I can always see how exactly they got the wrong answer, and usually they miss a sign somewhere. And I don't know what for, well, let's see. 41 times 11 is 451. Okay, there we go. And double check it, make sure we multiplied everything by 11, make sure we didn't switch any signs. All right, we didn't just leave out a negative or turn a positive into a negative or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one with everything being tripled. So triple everything. 6x minus 21y minus 33z. And 85 times 3. 85 times 3 is 255. So I'm going to put that right here. Okay. Now let's get that equation A. I'm going to make, again, double check my signs, make sure I didn't reverse anything, because again, that is something that happens a lot. All right, 66 plus 6 is 72. Minus, and in this case here, I'm going to have to combine these 2 negatives. And let's see, 255 plus 451. And that's going to be 706. All right, so there we go. That was the first one. Now let's go ahead and try to find 2 of them. Now, I probably would have picked these 2 to go first, but since I'm going to move these over here, I just want fewer things to kind of go wrong. So now I'm going to switch them so that way it's already, Z is already set to eliminate, so I don't have to change anything from there. So 4x plus y minus 3z equals 45, and 6x minus 4y plus 3z equals 41. All right, so again, z is already set to eliminate. I don't need to So 10x minus 3y. And z cancels out. They got no more z. Okay. And I don't think there was a whole lot going on, so I don't think I'm going to miss much doing that. Now, what I have to do is I have to find a way to eliminate either x or y. So how to eliminate x or y? Now, 3 times something to get 65. 65 is not divisible by 3, so changing y is maybe out of the question. Let's see. 65 times 2 is 130, but that's not divisible by 3 either, so I have to find a number that I can have them cancel out at. And sometimes it's just like this. Sometimes you can't find an easy number to cancel them out. Now, I can also count by 72. Now, if you're not really sure, you can just times the green one by 10 and the orange one by 72, and that works. Okay, it will work out. But you could also use, I think 360 works out. So 72 times 5 is 360. Now 360 can be divided by 72 and it can be divided by 10. So 360 is a good meeting point for our x value. So let's go ahead and put these, multiply them together. So this one here, I'm going to multiply it by 5. Now again, you could also multiply this by 10. It'll still work out. And multiply this, what will be our bottom one. You could multiply that by 36 because I need the x values to be equal. Now we also need them to be opposite. So I need to pick one of these to be the opposite. I'll pick this one. And it wouldn't make a big difference because if we get a negative, we're just going to have to divide both sides by a negative to get rid of that. What if there's a negative on the variable? So I just picked that side, may or may not work out better. And sometimes it is kind of tough to see what's going on. So 72 times 5 is 360. And 65 times 5 is 325. And I also got to make sure that I put the negative in there too. So in this case, it looks like I almost forgot the negative. I didn't forget it on the y though. And 706 times 5. So that's going to be 3,530. 3,530. And that's also going to be a negative. Darn. I should have put in, I'm going to make that negative in there a little bit better. Normally, whenever I do this, I put the negative in first. Once I know it's going to be a negative, then I put that in first. Now I'm just sort of messing up, putting all sorts of numbers in there. Okay, there we go. Finally. Now double check our signs. Make sure we reverse the signs on all of the terms since we multiplied everything by a negative. Now we have to multiply that side by 36. Multiply everything by 36. So 10 times 36 is 360 x. And 36 times 3, this should be easy. 3 times 30 is 90. 90 plus 18, so that's 108. Okay, that one should be an easy one, 108. Y equals, now I have 86 times 36. I don't have any tricks for that one. So let's go ahead and just put that in as 3,096. So I'm going to double check that one. Maybe I put in the wrong number. Yeah, okay, so that does come out to 3,096. Okay. Now I need to put these together so that the x eliminates. So I want the x to go away to eliminate, which it does. 360x minus 360 is going to cancel it out. So for this one here, I have 325 minus 108. And it looks like we get 217. Y equals, and here, let's see, 3096 minus 3530. And I get 434. Now this one's a pretty easy one. Oh, it's gonna be negative. This cheap calculator I have does not keep track of negatives. And if you're like me and you have access to only a cheap calculator that doesn't really keep track of negatives, yeah, you're just gonna have to pay extra attention to them. So be careful with that. I've in my other classes, I lost some negatives. Now divide both sides by, what was that number? 217, and we get y equals -2. So y is -2. So I got my first variable. Got the first variable. Now I'm going to go ahead and plug this -2 as y into either one of these. And I'm going to plug it into this one here, just because I have an empty space below it. Either way, I think that is the easier one to plug it into. 10x minus 3 times y okay. Looks like I'm gonna have to add 6 to, no, that'd be a +6. Okay, I knew something looked a little bit off. By the way, I'm gonna give you a hint. On all of these, you should not get fractions. On just about everything, you should get whole numbers. So if you're working on any of these and you get a fraction, that's probably a sign something might have gone wrong. I'm sure that this would be tough enough without the fractions, so they probably decided they didn't really need them in the lesson. Okay, now there we go. X equals 8. Now we have 2 of them. Now, since neither of these have the z, because that's the one we're missing the z, we're going to have to go back to one of the originals. So now I need to pick one of the original equations to solve for z. Now, I don't want to divide by -11 to get the z by itself. So that leaves me with the middle or the top one. And I guess it doesn't really matter. They're both going to be 3. The only thing is I'm going to pick this middle one because it's positive. And again, you would get the right answer no matter which one you plug it into, because they all should work. They're all, if you think about it, all 3 equations are heading to the same spot. So you just got to find out where exactly it is, sort of like finding an address. You find the street name and then there's a number. So they're all kind of going to the same place. So whether you find the street name or the number first, well, in this case, probably be easier to find the street name. But if you know one thing about something, the closer you're going to get to it. But it's going to be the same thing. So don't be afraid of plugging them into different things. You don't have to plug it into the middle every single time. All right, so 6 times 8 minus, and then 4 times y, which we know what the y is, it's -2. And again, the z is what we're missing, so that's going to be the part that stays as z. Now that I plugged the whole thing in, I'm going to go ahead and start evaluating it. So 6 times 8 is 48. Now I know that, but man, my brain gets tired doing these. Like for real. I've been doing this like most of the morning, and by lunchtime, my brain was just drained. Even now, I'm kind of getting a little bit like sleepy, like actually tired. All right, minus 56 from both sides. So 41 minus 56 is -15. Z equals, in this case, now we have it, -5. Whew, and there we go, we got all 3 of them. So far, I haven't made any big mistakes with this one yet, which is a good thing. But sometimes, you know, it's a good thing to make a mistake and go back and see what happened. So like with my other classes, I've had at least a few mistakes that I made, and I showed them that if you make a mistake, you can easily follow these lines back and see where something didn't work out. Excuse me. So if you imagine it, it's kind of like if you've ever seen like those internet router rooms in a large building. Like I'm sure you've seen pictures of them. Like I've seen like memes of them where it's like, you know, somebody knows how to manage cables or something, and they're all nicely put together, you know. And then they have like another one where it's really messy and the wires are just everywhere. So if a wire gets unplugged or breaks, or, you know, a mouse chews through it, you know, you're gonna have a hard time finding out where it went to, and your system's gonna have problems because you don't know where it is. So that's kind of why I do this. You know, it's also, you know, so you can look at it and kind of learn where one step goes to the next. But yeah, if you make a mistake, it's always very helpful to see where it could have come from. But in this case, I don't think there were any mistakes. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Now for this one here, we're gonna have to do the same thing. Pick one of the variables to eliminate. Now x looks like it's pretty good at first because you're thinking, ooh, 5x and 5x. I could eliminate that easily. But then you'd have to pick 9 to pair off with one of those 5x's, and you're gonna have to change it into a negative. So works out. And again, I'm not gonna stop you from doing that. It will work. You're gonna have to do a little bit of extra work. With y, it's good, but like if I pair off these top 2, I'd have to make them 12y, and I'd have to switch one of them. These ones, I'd have to make them into 4y, or if I was going with top and bottom, I'd have to make them into 6y. So actually, y is not a bad one in this case. Y works out pretty okay. But what about this one here? Z works out. So let me ask you, this one I think works out too, because we have one that's opposite, and 4, 1, and 8 can be easily made into the same numbers. So which one do you think would be a better candidate to eliminate first, y or z? And again, there's no wrong answer. Just let me know which one you want to try out. If not, I'll just pick one. Okay, so I'm going to just go with z. All right, and again, I think both of them would be about equally easy. Now, let's see, which one am I going to have to change the least? All right, I'm just going to go with the top 2 for this one here. So for this one here, I'm going to keep everything the same, 5x minus 3y plus 8z equals -59. So I didn't have to change anything. So make sure I didn't lose any like numbers somewhere. Now for this one here, I am going to have to change it. I'm going to have to multiply everything by 8. 72x, because 9 times 8 is 72, minus 8 times 34. 8 times, wait, no, not 34. What am I thinking of? 32. Negative 32y minus, and then 8z, which is good. I'm trying to eliminate z. So that'll cause this z to drop out. And I'm thinking this is negative 480, but I'm going to double check that. 60 times 8 is 480. Okay, that's right. So everything should have that canceled out. So let's go ahead and find out what our equation A will be. So 77x minus 35y equals, now they're both negative, so 59 plus 48. 539. Oh, okay, that's going to be, okay, that's negative. Like I said, my calculator here is kind of the dumb ones. So it's like the dollar store calculator, so it doesn't keep track of the negatives. So I gotta make sure I keep track of those negatives. And if I don't, I can easily throw everything off. Okay. Now let's go ahead and work on our equation B. So I've just been color coding it as orange. So with this one here, I'm gonna try to make this z a 4, so it's gonna be negative 4z. So multiply everything by 4, and like I said, I don't like keeping the signs changed. I don't like changing the signs. So now I got to multiply everything by 4. Okay, 4 times 9 is 36x minus 16y minus 4z. Make sure I didn't change anything. Okay, 4 times 6. I think it's going to be 240. All right, and I'm going to check my signs again, because that is always something that goes wrong with these. I mean, like, it feels like you know what you're doing, but sometimes it's just like, I don't know, forgetting something that's really easy to forget. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just rewrite this. I don't need to change anything because the z is already going to cancel out. And like I said, you got to make sure that they cancel the same letter. So I shouldn't have to change anything with this. It's 5x, 2y, 4z, negative 47. Okay, so don't need to change anything there. Let's go ahead and combine these to get our equation B. So 36 and 5, that's going to be 41. And let's see, y, I have negative 16y, so that's going to be 14y. Z cancels out, which is good because now they're both missing the z. And in this case here, 2, 8, so 4 and 4 is 8, and 0 plus 7 is 7. And now they're both negative, so again, I always seem to lose that negative, 287. Oh, okay. Double check it. Looks good to me, I guess. Now what we got to do is put them together so that one more of them will eliminate. Now this is a tough one because if my first thought would be, well, can I multiply 14 by something to get 35? And the answer is no on that. We cannot do that. What about 41? Can I say double 41 and get 77? No. Now, there is a better way of finding what we call least common multiples. So like with 35 and 14, think of the numbers you can multiply to get to them. To get 35, you'd go multiply to get 35, you'd multiply 5 times 7, and for 14, it'd be 2 times 7, so you would eliminate a 7 out of them and multiply them together. There is a trick you can do and get smaller numbers, but I know that's not something everybody knows, and that's not something everybody wants to learn right now when there's a bigger lesson that they're probably struggling through. So I'm going to keep things simple, and we're going to use our calculator. And we're going to just multiply these two things. So I'm going to multiply this whole thing by 14. And I'm going to multiply this whole bottom one by 35. Now, even though we're going to be working with some big numbers, I don't think it's going to be a big deal because the calculator is going to be doing most of the work. But now I need one of these to be negative. So I'm going to make this 14 the negative number. Okay, that top one, my a function, will be the negative one. Okay, so 77 times 14 is 1,078. Now it's going to be negative. And again, 35 times 14. And that looks like we get 490. Y. Make that y a bit smaller because I'm going to have to put the other one under there. And 539 times 14. 7,546. Now that one's a negative times a negative, so that will turn positive. And negative times an, okay, so again, check my signs. And don't be afraid to check your signs because again, everyone has trouble doing this. It's really easy to just lose a sign. Now I'm going to go ahead and try to eliminate the, not eliminate just yet. I have to multiply everything by 35. So 35 times 41. Okay. And now I need to multiply negative 14. So that's a negative. 14 times 35 is 490. And it's a good thing we're double checking it because now we know this is going to cancel out. And last one is 287. And that's going to be a negative. I'm going to write down the negative before I forget. So negative 287 times 35. And it looks like we're going to get a big number on this one here. Oopsie. Just to let you know, there's probably going to be this video is probably going to be posted to YouTube too. So keep your behavior good. Okay. Let's go ahead and get this one here. Okay, looks like we're going to need the calculator again. 1435 minus 1078. So 357 x equals, and now I'm going to have to do the same thing to this one, 10,045, it's not divided. Now again, I can't make negatives in my calculator, so I'm just going to have to, looks like my answer here is going to be a negative number. And 1045 minus 7546. 2499 or 2,499. Now I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by x. $2,499 divided by 357. Okay, that's going to be -7. Oopsie. Now we have our first one. Now let's go ahead and take that and plug it into one of the other ones. Let's see, which one of these would be a better one to go with? I'm going to just go with this one here because it's there anyway. 41x minus 14y equals -287. Now I've got to multiply this by 7. 41 times 7. It's going to be 287. So -287 and that's also supposed to be negative as well. And I'm going to go ahead and add 287 to both sides. Now, 287 minus 287 is going to be 0. So what number can I multiply by -14 in order to get 0? Well, that would be 0 because zero product property says anything times 0 is always going to be 0. So if I have a number times -14 that comes out to be 0, that means the only number that's going to work is 0. So now we have the x, now we have the y. Let's go ahead and find the z. So we got to find that z now. Whew, got to go back to the original. One of these. Now, even though I don't like solving for one that has a negative value, I'm going to go with that one just because z is already by itself, and all I have to do is just flip the signs on the last step for both of them. So let's see if I can get this one to give us the z value. So 9 times -7 minus 4y, which in this case is going to be 0. And z in this case is going to be, well, z, because we don't know what that is. Now, just like from the lesson where we were solving with standard equations, standard form linear equations, if we have a term times 0, we just ignore that entire term. So this is going to be -63 minus z equals -60. So now I'm going to add 63 to both sides, plus 63 plus 63. (63 minus 60 is going to be 3. And like I said, all I have to do now is flip the sign. So z equals -3. Or you can do the thing where you multiply both sides by -1 or divide both sides by -1. But again, if you make negative this number, it's going to give you +3. So the only number that could go in for z would be, well, -3, because negative and negative make a +3. Or hold on a minute, no. You know what I mean. Just divide both sides by -1. Okay. I think that's it. Now again, if with this assignment, there are not very many. There are not many numbers that are, sorry, the problems. Sorry, the problems. There are not very many problems that come out to be fractions. So I'm gonna make sure I don't see any. So I'm gonna look over the homework, and I think I worked on a few the other day, and no, none of them should come out to be fractions. So if you get any fractions, decimals, or weird numbers, then you should probably double check your work. I think all of the, like the problems, the number problems, and I mean not word problems is what I mean. So with all the ones that are not word problems, all the answers should be between -10 and +10, just from what I'm kind of looking at, guessing. So they shouldn't be really high or big or anything like that. So again, if you get any really big numbers or really, well, that big negatives, whether they're negative or positive, but you shouldn't get fractions either. So they should all be whole numbers. Now, again, last thing we need to do is put our numbers into an ordered triple. So -7, and then now y will be 0, and z will be -3. So it's got to be an ordered triple. Man, what's going on with this class? I got like everybody disconnecting. I think you're the only one. I guess that makes you the chosen one. But yeah, I'll probably just have to make this one into a video. I'd like to, usually when I'm trying to make the videos, I try to do a video of all my classes and try to pick the best one from the day. But it's gonna have to be this one because I had somebody laughing in my third hour the whole time, so I just couldn't pick that one. And then I couldn't pick the other one from first hour either. Actually, I could probably do that one too. I guess I probably will, just in case this one has any issues, but I'll probably have to review them. Anyway, I think that's it for today. There's not much else to do. As always, I'll go ahead and leave a minute or two for any questions that you have. We can cover things if you want to. If not, I think that will be it for today. Oh yeah, tomorrow, let me tell you about what's going on tomorrow. So yesterday we had no internet here at the school, so we weren't able to do anything. So that's a whole day lost. We just lost Wednesday. So by the time the internet came back on, it was already like 12 o'clock and all my morning classes had been canceled. So I didn't want to have it interfere with the schedule. So since I figured most of my classes are already gone, so why keep going? So we're going to cut out the part with word problems. So the word problems from the packet, yeah, we're going to go ahead and just leave those out. And also I'm going to leave out probably the word problems from this 3 variables because the packet's already been made. I had to make the packet yesterday. So I did. I printed out 80 copies for all the students and they're already getting put together to be sent out to students. So I can't change anything on there. And you know, I can't change anything on there, so I can't push all the lessons back. So we're just gonna have to skip some of these things in the packet. So again, we're just gonna cut out the word problems. I think it's the easiest thing to do. I think some people will be really happy about that announcement. But anyway, tomorrow, I plan to at least finish this with 3 variables working, 3 variable systems of equations. So anyway, that's it for now. I will see you later. Bye.